Good morning. This is Z for MarketWizards.com and eMiniWizard.com, and it is Monday the 25th, and we're about 15 minutes ahead of the open, reminding traders to use risk capital you can afford to lose if you're playing this game. Very treacherous business. Markets turn on a dime. Nobody knows where it's going, but we try to make educated guesses. So again, this is an educational room trying to help traders improve their game. And I suggest anybody, especially if you're here for the first time, make sure that you're using a simulator and not trying to duplicate what we're suggesting right now until you get your feet on the ground and understand the methodology that we use. Welcome to everybody. Just like in the Duke game yesterday, anybody that was watching that, anything can happen, especially markets. They turn on a dime. And in that game, I thought poorly coached at the end. All I had to do was allow the two-pointer. I kept saying, my wife and I were watching, I said, just let them get inside. Force them inside the three-point line. They can't, score if you don't foul them. Give them the two. Then you still got the ball with 14 seconds. They're going to foul you, and then you got to make a shot or two. But I couldn't agree with I just thought they blew it right there. Too bad, because they made a nice comeback. All right, to the markets. I'm looking at this chart. First of all, last night we had suggested the 18 to 22 as resistance. And there were several reasons for that, but primarily we thought that this would be the first resistance zone. And then obviously if we got any back testing, first things first, we got to get through that 12.5 area and then tackle the lows of Friday. If we broke that, which is a third time through trade, 1, 2, 3, then we open the door to come backwards. And we had suggested perhaps 97 to 96 area. And then be careful of the 94 to 92s. And it turns out that we held at 90 and a quarter. Zeke made a great post in our room already about the 90 and a quarter. And I had suggested when I went to bed last night, let's use 88 for support. With the idea that they'll probably bounce it, and the question is how big a bounce. So we've had a good size bounce. We've got range type trading right now. We are approaching the end of the month, which typically has a bullish bias, but there are a lot of other currents going on too. So we don't want to just assume that it's going to explode to the long side. That is typical of markets where we'll get a very sharp bounce out of nowhere, and you have to take your stop out and then try one more time in a corrective market. So currently we're tackling the 4.5. I'd suggested that this is an area that basically is being waged right now, this battlefield between, say, 02, 05 area, and rightfully so, because they have basically taken the low from Friday and they made that our symmetry middle. So that's one of the first things you look for to say, hey, maybe it moves over. So right now, anybody that's playing short side, a reminder, we've got multiple gap situation. We'll go over that. And first things first, the goal is to get a couple of points here, there, and everywhere. And if you've got a trailer, then you can win on that. I'm going to assume neutral right now. And I don't know where the low is in. It doesn't bother me whether it is or isn't. It doesn't bother me whether the high is in or isn't. Somebody's got to hang their hat on always being right about every call. We're trying to get as much as we can out of the market as safely as we can. And currently we know resistance is back here, 18 to 22. And we know that the support area is going to be this 88 to 92. And in between is range type trading. So anybody that is shorting ahead of this open, a reminder that we also have half gap trades, and so on. And we're going to be talking about that as the market progresses today. Here's our monthly look, and this is what I'm looking at for support. This 80 area, 78, big support for now. This would be a retest back here on this breakout on the 11th. We've got this 96 and a quarter is the monthly middle, and that's one of the reasons why I suggested that they may want to test that 96. Zeke last week had suggested 89 might be the next support level, and he's right on with that assessment because that held overnight beautifully. There is a gap down in here at that area as well. So I'm using this box right now, this 96 and a quarter, basis the monthly, for how the big boys are looking at this. And I'm looking at this 1375 as a resistance for now. So this yellow circle is where I think we are opening this today. And these are the first barriers that are going to be very important in determining which direction the market is going. So for now, this 12, based on the 30-minute chart, I've said I think 12 and a half is still resistance right now. And that's based on this chart right here. This blue line is coming down, and I'm suggesting that that's been our resistance right now, according to what a big boy is looking at. And I posted that about a half hour ago. Keep your eye on that 30-minute chart. And it would not surprise me today to get a two-way day. Very important chart right now. Basis the yearly chart. We also want to take a look at that 13 area, 13 and a quarter, basis the yearly. So those two big boy charts tell me that that area is first and important resistance for now, as we test the 05 to 02 area. So we want to look at big boy charts. Let's take a look at today's predictive model. This chart says the 02s, 03s to 12 and a half is the range we've been trying to fight for the last hour or so. And this 92 theoretical support trying to hold. So I'm looking at 22's resistance, looking at the 12's immediate resistance, and I'm looking at this 02 trying to hold, and if it can't, then we're back into this green box down here. This is based on our predictive model, and we'll come back to this chart several times today. Basis the OTF predictive, which is basically our weekly chart. It shows us we're fighting that 93 to 12 and a half. And this is in the pipe, and this is a core idea of mine right now. This is our big resistance, 32s, big support back here at 73, and obviously you got to get through this 93 area or the 12 and a half area. So that is what I'm looking at for the OTF chart. And currently that 12 and a half is our big resistance right now for anybody that's playing south side. And because we're coming into the open, make sure you are paid coming into the 2800 psychology area. Going to be opening up in a minute. The 5-minute chart tells us this blue line is at 18 and a quarter resistance. Above that, the 32s. I like this 5-minute chart for now, and I suggest that don't come into today with an extreme bias either direction. Just look for trades that will give us our few points, grab them, get out of the way, got a trailer, let it work. If you are a conservative trader, don't be afraid to be sidelined for the first couple of minutes. Angels and demons. 02 and a half, the middle, 13 and a quarter, and 92. And actually, I thought this was 12 and a half. I'll double check that. 12 and a half to 13 are immediate resistance. And again, we're trying to help traders become better traders. And we're not expecting you, especially if you're new to the room, to be taking trades. You're trying to learn and trying to understand our methodology. It will pay off in the long haul. We'll go over a few more charts. And a reminder, anybody that's played Southside, Be careful today about the boys trying to trap and then play whack-a-mole and squeeze a bit. Let them go if you get beat, and then look for another time and another price to come back in. Probably need multiple entries today, either way you play. All right, play well.